Hey, well, welcome to the channel. It's Saturday morning, probably about 11:30 or so, and I thought I'd come up around the river, around the Iron Bridge, and it's always kind of interesting to walk around up here and look around. I want to thank everybody that's subscribed to the channel, left comments, and liked the videos. It really helps the channel out a lot, and I appreciate sharing Chiang Mai with y'all. And I'm gonna turn the camera around so you can see where we're at here. There's a little tour boat that will take you up the river, and it starts out from the temple just south of here, and they'll take you up the river, and I think they take you to a village and a few other places. Kind of neat. We had a lot of rain last night, so I thought the river might have cleared up, but we had a lot of rain last night, and it's turned the river back to another yellow again. Now, right down there where you see the boats, that's where the tour boat leaves from, and there's a temple back there, and I'll pin that location in the comments there, or in the description section. And there you can see what they're doing to riverfront. It looks like they're gutting the whole entire center of it. No telling what it's going to be. Can't really read on the sign. Looks like Mediterranean something or other. But anyway, we'll get walking down here a little bit. Back a couple months ago, I did a video up here, and I talked about two girls that were from California that came to Chiang Mai, and they got locked up for counterfeiting. And there was a lot of questions of whether it was actually happened or whether it was a Gofundme scam, because up here we didn't hear anything about it. We didn't hear anything on the media or anything like that. And that's very uncommon. Usually when a foreigner gets arrested up here or gets in any trouble, it's usually on the news. In this particular situation, it didn't show up, so all of us here were kind of skeptical of it. And you know, it just looked like it could have been the classic GoFundMe scam to get their vacations funded. And before I did the video, I sent out a bunch of emails and message requests through Facebook to try to verify the story, and I never got, by the time I did the video, I never did get any answer back from them. But a couple of weeks ago, I finally did. One of the girls emailed me back, and she explained the situation to me, which, in the way that she explained it, it definitely was not a scam. It happened. And what she says is that they were in Cambodia, and they were getting ready to leave, and they were walking through a village, you know, kind of an older village, and they looked down in the ditch, and there was a bunch of money in the ditch. Hello. 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 And they picked it up. They jumped on their plane to Chiang Mai, and as soon as they got off the plane, they went to the exchange booth, and they tried to exchange some of it. And she says, just standing there, and the guy in the exchange booth didn't speak any English, but they could tell from his mannerisms, and he picked up the phone, and his facial expressions, that they were in deep doo-doo. And sure enough, a few minutes later, the police show up and take him to the jail, or they take him to the processing center. Anyway, from there, things just kind of got worse, and they were basically told that it could be as long as 2 years before they go to trial, and that they could be facing up to 30 years in prison. And which is, you know, it's a reality. It very well could have happened here. When you get arrested, it's a long time before you face a judge. You have to go back every so many days before the judge, but before your case is adjudicated, it could be anywhere from a year to 2 years. Well, somehow or another, some local person bonded them out, and they were able to get out, and they were able to get their case moved up. She said somebody high up works the magic. Those were her exact words, and I didn't elaborate on it because sometimes there's just things you're better off not knowing. But I did ask her, I said, did you go in front of a judge? And she said, yes, they went in front of a judge, and it was expunged, and they paid a fine, and they were able to get outside the country. I didn't ask dollar amounts because, again, I didn't want to know, but from the past experiences that people have had in foreign countries getting out of jail, it could have very easily ate up whatever money they collected on the GoFundMe page. But, you know, it is what it is. And you know, I'm going to defend the cops a little bit here. You know, they told them that they found it, but again, who's saying that? They're saying it, and I believe they did. But when you look at it from a law enforcement standpoint, you've got two girls passing counterfeit money in a foreign country. And when it comes down to finding it, the only people that are telling you that is them. So, you know, they can only assume the worst. Duke's, very good food there, and the prices are very reasonable now. They've taken the 10% service charge off for parties less than 5, and the VAT is included in the price. So what you see on the menu is what you pay, and the food is reasonably priced, and it's very good, and it's quality food. So if you get here and you want to have a good meal, this is the place to come. They've got 2 or 3 branches, and as a matter of fact, they're going to open up a branch in Hang Dong as well. But you know, back to the story. You know, it's just like the journalist that I did the story about that had the lame excuse of writing a story and becoming a heroin smuggler. He was the only one telling that story. And they didn't believe him. I didn't believe him. You all didn't believe him. And not even the American consulate believed his story. So, you know, he ended up doing 8 years in jail. But, you know, these girls were lucky. They were able to do a lot like the British guy that got caught stealing the watch. You know, he was marched in front of a judge and paid a hefty fine and allowed to leave the country. And it would be nice if they did that for every foreigner here, you know, that gets jammed up. You know, it depends on what they get jammed up for, you know, because, you know, you come here on vacation, you only plan on spending a few days. You know, if you've got to spend a year, it's going to get expensive and it's going to be difficult to do. So, you know, I think the Thai government realizes that, and they're trying to accommodate people as well as they can. So, you know, there it goes. The best thing to do when you go to a foreign country, any foreign country, whether it's Thailand, whether it's Cambodia, Vietnam, Malaysia, watch your step. You know what you're doing is correct. And if something seems a little bit too good to be true, generally it's not. And, you know, I feel sorry for these 2 girls, but also they're a victim of their own, I'm not going to say stupidity, I'm going to say it's naive more than anything else. They were naive to what was actually happening. You know, Cambodia uses the American dollar quite a bit, and it's not uncommon for you to get change back and some of it might be counterfeit. You know, you have to check your money. You know, this wasn't the situation. In this case, you know, they found it on the side of the road. But anytime you go to a country that's dealing in, you know, that will accept your American dollar, you need to make sure that the change that you get back is good and it's actually real money. You know, and looking over the internet, I read a bunch of stories about counterfeit money in Cambodia. So it doesn't surprise me that they did find counterfeit money in the ditch. Apparently it's used in funerals and different things like that. But, you know, I don't think these girls were counterfeiters. But boy, I'll tell you what, they couldn't convince the Thai police that they weren't. You know, and there again, you go back to the same thing. If you're the only one telling it, you may be falling on deaf ears. There's the church. That is one of the oldest Christian churches in Chiang Mai. And I think it's a Chiang Mai Christian school now. But, you know, you just have to be careful. I'll tell you something else that has just come out is some of these neighboring countries now, being that Thailand has legalized cannabis, they're urine checking people coming from Thailand when they come into the country. And I just read about 2 Thai guys that went down to Malaysia and they urine tested them and they tested positive for cannabis and they ended up in jail. You know, it's different from the States. You know, if you test positive for a drug in the United States, they're not going to charge you. At least that's the way it was when I was working. I don't think it's changed. But here in Thailand, if they urine test you and you test positive for methamphetamine or heroin or anything like that, you can be charged with it and you will be charged with it. And it's the same way in Malaysia. Their laws are a lot stiffer than what we have here. But, you know, think about it. If you come up here and you want to try cannabis food, make sure that you're not going to be traveling into another country at any time soon. You know, I don't know how it works if you're in transit. I've never heard of anybody being urine tested in transit. But who knows? It could happen. So the best thing to do is pass on everything. You'd be a lot safer. Beautiful day today. We had a lot of rain. The clouds real nice and cloudy. It's not real hot. Makes a nice day for out walking around. And I had hoped to find the river its natural color today. That's why I came up here, but with the rain we had last night, it just isn't going to happen. It'll take about 3 or 4 days before it goes back to being its normal color, which is kind of a greenish gray. It's not really a blue color like you would expect water. Another thing that they had as well is they had another case of monkeypox show up, and this brings the total number in Thailand to 4. And this was a Thai girl, and from what it said, apparently she visited the bar areas of Bangkok quite frequently, and they didn't say how she picked it up, but you know, you could kind of read between the lines and kind of figure it out. So, you know, what's it going to be next? I don't have any clue. You know, we just protect yourself and do the best you can, and hope you don't get it. I went to the hospital yesterday and had all my blood work done, and I won't get it back for about a week. But the nurse, there's 2 nurses in there that I usually deal with, and one of them's been dealing with for, you know, 6-7 years now, and she says, "Have you had COVID yet?" And I said, "No." And she goes, "Well, you're about the only one." And apparently a lot of them have got it. And she said the nurse that was typing up my appointment schedule in front of me, she had just got over it a couple weeks before. So it's still around. You know, I think it's going to be around for a long time. I don't know. Hope not. A lot of traffic out today. But a nice breeze, just a really nice breeze today. And you get Deutsche Tepp off on the background. Well, I'm going to close this video out here, and I'm going to go get something to eat and walk around a little bit more and head for the house. Every Saturday night now we have a live stream at 8 o'clock, 8 p.m. Bangkok time. You're welcome to come in and say hello, and I usually have 3 or 4 different people on and ask any kind of questions you want, and we generally have a good time. Lasts about an hour, and then we go to bed. But anyway, appreciate you stopping in, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.